Today I'm going to teach you how to easily graph when your equation, your quadratic equation, is in factored form. There's only 3 points you need to know. You need to know the two x-intercepts and then the vertex. As a reminder, your x-intercepts are also known as your roots, your solutions, and your zeros. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my zeros, and that's just making this one a 0 and this one a 0. So what value of x would make the first one a 0? Well, what minus 1 equals 0? A 1. And the next one, what value of x would make that binomial 0? Well, what plus 3 equals 0? A negative 3. So those are my two x-intercepts, 1 and negative 3. To find my vertex, it literally is somewhere between those two. Its x value is directly between those two. And so you can think about a number line. And I have negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1. Well, what number is between 1 and negative 3? Well, we go 1, right here, the negative 1. Another way to find this is just to add them and divide by 2. So 1 plus negative 3 divided by 2 is going to give you a negative 1. So my vertex is going to have negative 1 in the x spot. So what goes in the y spot? Well, we're going to take that negative 1, we're going to just put it back into the equation. It says y equals. So y equals, I'm going to put negative 1 minus 1 and negative 1 plus 3. And do my math here. This is going to be a negative 2 times a positive 2. Now I have to tell you, if you have picked the correct middle point, the correct x value, then these two numbers are always going to be opposites of each other. If they're not opposites of each other, you either did your math wrong when you were adding positive negative numbers, or you picked the wrong x value. In this case, y equals negative 4, so my vertex is at negative 4. Let's do that one more time before we do any graphing. Here you see a couple different things, but don't let them throw you. First of all, you see the f of x instead of a y, but that's just another way to show our function is to do f of x. It's no different. The other thing is I have a 2 in the front, and the only thing that's going to change is I'm going to include that when I'm trying to find my y for the vertex. So we're going to start just easy like we did before in this one right here. What value of x would make that binomial 0? Well, what minus 1 is 0? 1. And in this one right here, what value of x would make that one 0? The answer is 7. So now I need to find a number between 1 and 7 on the number line. And I would do my number line, but to be totally honest, I like this method better where you just add them and then divide by 2. And I'm going to get a 4. So my vertex is going to have a 4 for the x value. That's the number right between those two. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say y or f of x. I'm going to go back and say y since a lot of you are familiar with that. 2 times, and I'm going to put 4 wherever I see an x, so right there and right here. And then I'm going to say y equals 2 times, that's a 3, and that's a negative 3. And what did I tell you? These two from the binomials are going to be opposites of each other. So 2 times 3 times negative 3 should give you a negative 18. And so my vertex for this parabola is at 4, negative 18. It's time to start putting this together and getting it onto a graph. Once again, I'm going to start with my zeros. For this one, it's going to be a negative 3, and this one is going to be a 3. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot a point at the negative 3 and at the 3. Now, I can look at the graph and see exactly what's in the middle. Can you? It's a 0. So I know my vertex is going to start at 0. Now, if you're like, what? Then do the negative 3 plus 3 divided by 2. You're still going to get a 0. Then I'm going to go ahead and put this in to find my y value. 0 plus 3, 0 minus 3. And I'm going to get a 3 times negative 3. See how those are opposites of each other. So y equals a negative 9. 0, negative 9. So I'm going to find 0, negative 9. It's right here. The next part is to try to make a U shape instead of a V shape because a V shape would be an absolute value graph. There you go. This is the last one I'm going to do, but I want you to notice something right now. I want you to see the -2 in front of there. What does that tell you about what this parabola is going to look like? Keep it to yourself and then see if you're right at the end. Here we go. My first 0 is going to be a -5. My second 0 is going to be a -3. See how both of those will make each of their binomials 0? And so -5 is here, -3 is here. And again, I don't have to do very much math. I can see that right between those two is the -4. So for my vertex, it's going to start with a -4. All right. Then I'm going to put the -4 into the problem. So y equals -2, -4 plus 5, and -4 plus 3. So y is going to equal -2 times 1 times -1. When I do that, y is going to equal, well, it looks like just a 2, +2. So I'm going to go ahead and find that. -4, +2 is here. Next, I'm going to draw my u. It's kind of a small one right here. Best I can do right now. As you see it, it's pointed downward. Is that what you expected when you saw the -2 in front? I hope it is. All right, go have some fun working on these problems.